So here we go, my lovely friends. Thank you very much for joining me for another chat of Let's Talk Spirit with your show host Zsuzsanna Medium. I'm really grateful to be back, to be here, to talk to you through different channels. That's why I'm looking here and I'm looking over there, down there, because we are recording a podcast, a live podcast. So it is really, really live. There is not going to be any editing or anything, any blushing or any editing. It just happens as it is right now. So you see, this conversation today is called I'm glad I didn't take the car. You know, how many times, put your hand up if you are listening to this, how many times you said to yourself, oh, I'm glad I did not take the car, or shall I take the car, shall I walk, shall I take the train, shall I do something else, shall I ask somebody to take me, shall I take the car, where is my key, all those conversations. But then you see, there are times when we say, I'm glad I did not take the car. You know, usually we would say that when there is a traffic jam or something happening on the road there, or we were feeling tired and so on and so on. But anyway, today I want to talk to you about I am glad I did not take the car. Now, picture this. My voice right now is a little bit croaky. Why? Because I have just come back from a little walk, a very fast-paced walk out in nature. So, you know, when we are out in nature, we tend to look around, take in the scenery, listen to the sounds, the beautiful medley of the sounds of the singing, the songs of the birds. We take in the view, we look around, we breathe, we touch the leaves, touch the trees, or even hug the trees. We walk on the path, we meander, we follow the path we are familiar with, or we are exploring little paths sideways here, there, we are not very familiar with. But here we go, we take our time. And then if you have been here listening to my conversations over the years, or the other conversations, my goodness me, you know that sometimes I'm talking to you about mindfulness and peaceful being, peaceful living out in nature, and how we can use the elements of nature for our own benefit. Mind, health, body, spirit. So, oh my goodness, this show actually is called Let's Talk Spirit. So you will see why we are talking about this. But then you see, today, while I was out there, my walk was quite different. I tried to walk as fast as I could. I picked up the pace. I felt quite comfortable with the pace. A little bit later, actually, I changed the pace to much faster, as fast as I could walk before you start. You know, the pace you have before you start running, before you decide to run. That is the way how I walk later. But anyway, so originally, the very first steps I took, I was really taking big steps, really going with my body. And yes, I noticed the lake. Yes, I noticed the trees. Yes, I was listening to the birds. Yes, I noticed everything around me. But then the concentration, my focus was on keep going, walking. On the path, what I would normally take very mindfully, quietly, you get the picture. So I was walking, and there is one point, you can imagine, there is one point where you just go straight out there, and then you can still go straight out there before you take different paths. So I knew where I wanted to be. I had a focus, I had a point, a map in my mind map. I had a point where I wanted to go to, and that was my mini challenge for myself. I did not take any watch, any timing equipment, no phone, absolutely nothing, because the focus was on walking. Mind you, I had a postcard in my a greetings card in my hand. I needed to pause, but anyway, so I was really taking my threats. Why? Because this is what I decided to do. You know, you can have that moment in life, or those moments in life when you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, you know, or even the night before, you say to yourself that okay, tomorrow morning when I wake up, the first thing is going to be I'm jumping out of bed. I am taking my not the car key, but I'm taking myself out in nature and I'm walking for half an hour. I'm doing a speed walking with myself. I'm challenging myself. I want to be fit. I want to take myself out. You know, there can be these moments, and when the morning comes, then you feel tired, you overslept, you would like to have a tea or a coffee, or you are hungry, or there is this and that, or you are sidetracking yourself and you are talking yourself out of your own aim, your own challenge, your own love, the own anything to you, on your own thing. You talk yourself out of that conversation. But here we go. I'm talking about the ones when you are actually deciding and then you are taking the action. Because this is what I noticed while I was walking in a faster pace. I still noticed the lake. I still noticed all the dog walkers with the various dogs. I still had the time to greet those people. I still had the time to look around and notice certain weeds, you know, the plants we don't like in our garden, but mind you, some of them are the beneficial ones. I noticed those ones growing very healthily. I also noticed some of them being very healthy and had this moment of reflection. Oh yes, how interesting nature is really looking after us, because year after year we've got certain plants growing quite extensively, meaning that people in that region there might need the benefits of those plants. This is how I think about things. So mind you, I notice all the plants, I notice the people, I notice the sunshine, I notice the clear sky. My goodness me, yes, the clear sky above my head. I was feeling alive in my body. I was listening to the conversations in my mind. And I also noticed, you know, after a certain age, after 50, okay, let's just talk about this. After 50 or after 40 or after 30, anytime, you know, your age, you think about yourself, you notice your body is changing and you take on different habits. Like driving your car everywhere, but anyway, taking on different habits, and then you feel comfortable, you settle in that new way of being, in that new habit, without even thinking about the consequences, unless you actually take yourself on and you notice that you are a little bit slower, you take a little bit longer time, you talk yourself out of the things you really enjoyed before, you do things differently, you feel different, you look different, you talk about yourself differently, you've got a different self-confidence, you've got a different inner mind conversation with yourself, and then at the end of the day you have a different energy level altogether. So listen, you know, if you have been here on my page, you know, sometimes I share about my running history. So for instance, I was actually reflecting on a few years ago, not many years ago, but anyway, I was actively running long distance races, namely the half marathon. So I was running, and while I was out in my walk this morning, I really said to myself, you know, okay, you've got your own biological age, but it doesn't mean that your body needs to feel that way. You remember when you were running this race and that race. You remember how long it takes your body to pick up the pace when you are running. Do you remember how your body generates the breathing pattern once you are out in your trainers and your running kit? Because the body remembers what it used to do, what it used to be strong at, what it really enjoyed doing, and remember what energy, what hormones it generates in the body, what feelings it brings up, what memories, good feelings it brings up, and remembering how you all together felt when you have completed those things. So actually I was thinking about this, all the plenty of half marathons. So once upon a time I read. So while I was run, well, all those races I run. But while I was out walking, mind you, it was like a semi walk, semi run type of thing I was doing this morning. all this conversation, this is what I found, all this conversation, it's not just I found them beneficial, it's quite plain to say these things, but had an impact on me that really needed to reflect and really needed to shake myself up, and I really feel it's something important to talk about regardless of your age, because it's so very easy to get into one type of habit, and after that, especially the lockdown, we had all this time, so some people might have picked up their paces much easier. Some people have developed different habits, and that means that you are staying at home more, you are taking the car more, you are not walking as much as you would do, you are even taking your car, if you are talking about this car, you might be taking the car just to drop off something just around the corner without challenging yourself or without facing the weather conditions, being out in the wind, out in the rain, out in the fresh or a chilly or a cold weather. It's very easy to just become in one way. You see, when the word I'm saying to become in one way, to become one thing, as opposed to something else. And then interestingly, while I was in my mind, so I'm not going to give you the age and the personal information here, but in my mind I was thinking, all those people who start doing yoga and start doing all these fascinating things at later stage in their lives, and then they become these ultra healthy people and very flexible physically, mentally. There is a lot of agility there, a lot of energy, and all those fascinating energies. And then you see, I could be doing this, you could be, because my conversation with myself is always you could be doing that, and all these conversations. So what I'm saying is that it's good to think about alternative ideas, alternative ways of being at any age. You don't have to wait to the age where I am right now, over 50. Quite recently, actually, I started thinking about my whole life differently, and probably the conversations are going to be slightly different after this point. But anyway. But then you see why I took the walk. I went out the long way and turned back and walked around the lake, posted my card and came back. And I also noticed that halfway around the walk, I actually picked up the pace. Longer steps I took. Longer steps, it meant that my heartbeat has slightly changed. My thought patterns have changed. While at the same time I'm still noticing all the birds and all the swans and all the peacefulness, the different sections of the lake, and everything what I noticed. I was still able to notice everything while I at the same time reflected on the what my body was doing and how it physically changed during those moments, and then what impact it had on my well-being, my thinking, my feeling, my thought patterns. So there was a lot going on within myself while everything was still very peaceful and calm around me, with just very gentle movement around, some animals, some dog walkers, some cars passing by, some children going to school, all those things, the usual delicate murmur sound what you would hear in this town where I live. But at the same time, there has been a lot going on within me, and I feel that it's very important to talk about this. And then you see, this conversation is called I'm Glad I Didn't Take the Car while I was actually at the first place out there on my long walk there a couple of days ago. And then that takes me back. Okay, so just jump with me a few days back. A couple of days ago I had to go somewhere a little bit around the town. Over there I could have taken the car very easily. It would have taken me about 10 minutes, more or less 10 minutes, the morning rush. I would have been able to get there where I needed to go. And I was really, the night before, I was really thinking, shall I take the car? Shall I take the car? Or shall I just figure out how I can walk? And I knew that my rucksack would be quite heavy. I knew that I need to start off quite early. So I'm not rushing, I'm not sweating, I'm feeling comfortable in my body. I am not all over the place in my mind, but I am presenting myself at the time when I need to show up, even if I'm carrying my heavy rucksack wherever I was going to. Or shall I just take the car? But then you see, I said to myself, no, I'm not taking the car. I'm not going to take the car. Yes, I could take the car. What is the fun in taking the car, sitting in a hot car and being stuck in the traffic and then panicking because I am not getting there, or I am not. It's a new place I had to go to. If I'm not hearing or not noticing what my sat-nav was talking about, what would happen? Do I really want to do that? Or actually I just take the walk, I can figure out, maybe I leave a little bit earlier and I just, let's see. I usually get lost without even if I have my sat-nav on my phone, I usually lose my path, lost a little bit. I really have to watch that. But I said to myself, no, I'm not going to take the car. But then you see, this is what happened. I was walking, and I found it quite challenging. Because why? Because before that I hadn't done much walk, I hadn't done much walking, I hadn't done much power walk or run or training and all those things. And then I created this conversation in my mind that, oh my goodness me, that was very heavy, that was difficult, while at the same time I need to present myself in a quite a cheerful, ready manner on that morning. And then you see the day went on that day, and then I had to walk back on the hot afternoon, still carrying my rucksack and knowing how far I live. So even just notice the conversation in my head, how far I live. So it was really heavy, because really difficult, challenging, because this is how I created the conversation in my mind. It was heavy, it was difficult. My goodness me, what was I thinking of? Why didn't I just take the car? Why did I just all those things? So by the time I got home on that day, that was really a hard afternoon, difficult, challenging. Couple of hours afterwards, the following day, actually, I said to myself, the same question arose: shall I take the car or shall I walk? But I said to myself, no. What would I gain if I took the car? It would be just the same. I would probably get lost a little bit, because I checked out the car park over there, but why would I take the car? I could have my little snack for the afternoon when I am done and getting back to my car, and maybe I could go and do a little shopping, and maybe I can drive around afterwards. So I gave myself reasons why it is a good idea to take my car. But at the same time, I said to myself, no, just remember, you have done your races, you haven't done any training, not let alone a half marathon these days. You have not done any big challenges, physical challenges, or enjoyment, or long tracks, or all those big things, the exciting things. Not much, or for not many of those. So let's just challenge yourself. Let's see what your body is going to do, make out of the whole situation. Even though yesterday it was very hard, it was challenging, because in the morning you did not know where you were going, and yes, it took a little physical strength out of you and had an impact on your physical body. But then remember, at the end of the day, you still got home, and then now for the second day you are on the same path. And then since you have done one day of that challenge, or one day of that track, let's see what your body is going to do when you are taking that challenge again, when you are going on the same path. Now you just remember, just notice what I'm doing with the thinking here. I started telling myself that, actually, just notice, yesterday you got there, you found your way, and it was, yes, you found your little road, you walked through, it was your fault, it wasn't that difficult, you got there, you were on time, everything was all fine. And then you picked up your energy afterwards, and then you refreshed yourself, and you were absolutely fine. And then you remember you did this, and then on the way back, second day on the way back, it was actually easier than the day before. Even if you were carrying your rucksack, Everything was there, even if it was a hot day, even if it was this day, even if your feet were hurting, even if you were feeling tired, even if you did not have a coffee, even if you did not have a da-da-da-da-da, all those things. But just look around, the lake is there, the plants are there, the birds are there, the dog walkers are there. And then just notice how your energy is flowing and going and growing, because you have stepped into that reality that the day before you took a trip, you took your walk, you challenge yourself, you walked through, you push yourself through your own challenge, my goodness, with just a little walk, challenge, and then the following day you are doing it again, and just notice actually you are feeling lighter, it's easier. My goodness, I already got home. My goodness, I'm already on my walking down on my street. How come? It happened really quickly. I did not even notice how quickly I was walking home, or how come I already got home. Simply because the conversation in my mind was very different. The path was the same, the weather, all the conditions, everything was the same. Absolutely, there are, if I take it as a little research, or whatever I want to label this, or the variables were the same, basically the same. I could say about 85% the same. But then the internal conversation was very different, and then I bet that really made the whole walk home easier and lighter, and all the way, all around, much more successful. And of course, yes, I second day back home, I got home and I felt physical tired, mental tired, what you might experience after a day of doing something somewhere else in a new place. But then on that day I reflected, I really felt that yes, I didn't take the car, and I challenged myself because I wanted to see what the challenge would bring out of me, you know. Did it bring out the goodness, and the goodness what I needed to learn, the experience I had to have? I really feel it did, because I did not take the car. The car was fine, so we can forget about that. But I learned a lot. I learned that actually I do not need to panic if I'm going to a new place and I'm getting lost with my sat-nav. If I'm in an area where the roads are all the same, you don't find the names of the roads, and you just, well, where we are, we need to find a place. Most importantly, that the challenge is what we are creating for ourselves. We need to have those challenges. We need to have those actually, you know, adventure. Sadly, I was just asking, you know, give me another word for the challenge, because it became an adventure. Actually, this is pretty cool. The beginning of the whole 2-day adventure at the beginning, which is a challenge, and gave big questions and mind conversation, and had an impact on my mind, on my physical reality, my world. It had an impact, but the second day around I turned it into an adventure, and then from that point onwards, things were looking out like an adventure. My focus was on the adventure. Second day, do you remember how you got there? This is where you turned. Do you remember? Just notice those plants, because you are walking there, and then there were the yellow plants on the left, so we are on the right path. So and then you got there, and then on the way back, let's see where we are going. And actually it's lighter to walk now. Second time, oh my goodness me, my body's getting used to the conversation, getting used to the experience. So the challenge, the original challenge, turned into an adventure. So that was last week. But while I am talking about this today, because today I said to myself, let's walk the path which I took a challenge, originally a challenge, and then turn it into an adventure. Let's see, let's feel into that path today. So when I was out there to post one postcard, a greeting card, I was taking that adventure because I wanted to see how well my body and all my energy and my senses, how how I would feel, how most importantly my body would take that adventure. And my goodness me, it's a couple of times, and even just today it felt natural. My goodness me, yes, of course, because I used to run there, I used to cycle there, I know the path very well. But then when we are, just notice, when we are taking ourselves out of a really good habit, when we are not doing certain things, and we are getting very comfortable by not doing it and by just being, I'm not saying lazy, but then just being and not challenging ourselves and not using our body to its full potential, doesn't matter your age, okay? Then things show up differently in our lives. But then you see, just by this morning taking that little adventure, actually I was thinking, oh, why didn't I take my training or my training kit on, my running shoes and so on, because I bet that one of these days it's just going to be a quick run for me over there. And most certainly I will remember all these conversations. And you see, I brought this chat to you here, I called I'm glad I did not take the car, because just when we are making one little decision, changing our pattern, and then it has a series of many conversations or big conversations within our minds whilst we are in the actual experience of first day, second day, third day, taking the adventure, taking the challenge, making it a challenge and turning into an adventure, and then being able to reflect on the whole thing. This is what we are talking about here. Let's talk spirit. Let's talk. So why am I talking about this in the show, in my show, Let's Talk Spirit? Because every single one of us, we have one shell, one physical reality. And when I'm looking around, when I'm seeing people who are even older than myself, who are experiencing physical challenges because of age or because of some illness or great big illness, then it is really making me thinking that, oh, what can I do with my own reality? Because this physical reality, my physical body, is not going to be here forever. So do I want to think about this current conversation when I am on my last breath, maybe 2 weeks before I go back to my back to consciousness? Do I want to think about this and feel pity, feel guilty, shameful, irresponsible, angry with myself, all those things? Do I really want to do that? Or I take the challenge now, challenge myself and see what's going to open up in that. And then immediately when I'm taking the challenge, I'm switching, turning it into an adventure, because our life is about adventures. If you are thinking about life as a series of challenges, and I tell you what, that's going to be a challenge. When you are on your last breath, you will think and you will feel, my goodness, I was something of a wasted time here on this earth planet, because that was tough. That was tough. I was surrounded by tough people. I was challenged by their conversations. My buttons were pushed all the time. My body, my mind, my health, my all my well-being, all my abilities, they did not serve me, because it was just so very difficult. So I haven't even tried to do anything to change them or accommodate any other being, any type of any other habit here. You can think about that, or you can say that actually, you know what, we are here for only a certain period of time on this planet Earth, and then we need to make the best of it. If it takes for you to walk, then you walk. If it takes you to drive, you drive. Sometimes I am out in my car because this is what I want to do. I want to listen to the music and I want to sing, and then that helps me think and runs through the ideas I might have. Similarly, when you are out there walking, just by walking, having the physical reality, your body is in motion, then your thoughts are moving with you, moving and changing and flowing, and that helps to create a different reality, because there is a pattern to your physical body doing something. It has a pattern. Of course it needs to have a pattern. You've got 2 feet to walk on, so at least you have a 2-beat. If you are thinking musically, you will have a 2-beat pattern going there. You can turn it into 4 if you are turning it into your breathing pattern. And then it immediately gives you a different reality, and then from that point onwards it is an adventure. It takes just one very, very fine point in your reality to shift, to move, to change, to hop from one track of thinking to the other. And it's not a big hop, it's just next to each other. It's like train tracks running close by, and then you are hopping from this one, from the challenge, you are hopping on to the adventure. And when you are thinking of your life and your reality as an adventure, things will show up as an adventure, because you are just breathing differently. You've got a brighter energy, you are smiling at the people, you are noticing the dogs, you are smiling at the dogs, you are pausing a little bit for the birds over there because the swans are doing something over there. You might notice that, or you notice a new plant coming through. As you pass something, you suddenly feel like, oh, that was a bunch of roses over there, and then you turn back, actually they were not roses, they just look something like roses. So the whole reality is working very differently for you. So take your challenges and turn them to adventures. Okay, so that's a message here. Let's talk spirit. So if you thought that we are going to talk about driving cars and nature, yes, we can talk about those things, but then because you are here and listening to my conversation here, Let's Talk Spirit with myself, with your show, Zsuzsanna Medium, we always end up talking about something spiritual as well. That's why we are here, okay? So if you enjoy this conversation, a long-winded conversation, half an hour, yes. If you enjoy this one, if you have any question, any comment, any reflections, anything which is coming up, journal, reflect, go out after this and think about what is challenging your life. How can I turn it into an adventure? If you don't see the point, if you don't see how can you turn a challenge into adventure? If you feel that right now life is too heavy, it's too difficult, it's too challenging, then I'm just letting you know that for everybody there is that point. We've got the same human mind, okay? The same reality, the same physical reality, that it is possible and it is available for every single one of us to turn the challenge into an adventure. Okay, adventure, life is an adventure. That's why we are here on this planet. We didn't go somewhere else or doing anything else. That right now we are here to make the most of it, regardless what is out there, okay, or what in human terms we need to face day after day, okay. It is an adventure. Because we want to remember these things. We want to remember the joyful moments, not the successes. We can think about the successes if you box it that way, but we want to remember the adventure. We want to remember how we have overcome those challenges and turn them into adventures. Okay, we want to remember those ones when we are taking our last breath, and we want to take this memory, this energy with us. It's all to do with our soul, our spirit, and our energies, you know. So that was Let's Talk Spirit. Today video show has been myself, Zsuzsanna Medium. If you are interested in my work, find me on my website, zsuzannamedium.com. If you would like to book a reading, a consultation, everything is over there, zsuzannamedium.com / I think we said contact us, or bookings, those things, but you can find everything there. And otherwise, find this conversation on all available platforms, the main platforms. This is going to be published as a podcast. The podcast in itself, it's called Let's Talk Spirit. So if you go to Amazon, if you go to Spotify, if you go to Apple Podcast, anything, you can go over there and then you can look for this, and feel free to comment. This was recorded live. Thank you for those lovely people who listened into this conversation and stayed. And you see, this is an open conversation. This is how we create it. So you can comment, you can ask a question, like we did before. So thank you very much for joining me here on Podbean Live, and then also on my other social media pages. So from this place, I'm sending you lots of love, many blessings, and this was our show, Let's Talk Spirit. I'm glad I didn't take the car to this conversation on the 25th of June 2024. Have an awesome day and see you soon another time, maybe another little chat. So here we go. Thank you. Bye.